Okay, Tashma and Daf Tes Zayin Amud Beis. Basically, the Gemara is in the middle of the discussion of whether or not mashkin can become tamei. So the Gemara says Tashma Hein Yisa Ish Basar Kodesh B'Knaf Bigdoi. It's a very interesting story recorded in Sefer Chagai. Chagai was one of the Nevi'im at the beginning of Beit Sheni, and as they built the Beis HaMikdash, they were restarting the Avodah, the Korbanos. So he went into the Beis HaMikdash and he tested the Kohanim to see if they knew Hilchos Kachim.
Did we do the Gemara? Aaron and Savona Kadoshim?
Yeah, I think so. The Gemara, we could start there if you want. The Gemara says,
okay, I'll do it later.
Okay. I mean, it's the same discussion that you see you see that dam could become tamei in the Beis HaMikdash. That's whatever. That's what the Gemara is trying to bring a raya. Okay. Tashima. Hey Nisa ish b'sar kodesh b'knaf bigdai.
Okay.
So Chagai is testing the Kohanim to see if they know Hilchos Kachim. It's one of the rare places in Nevi'im where you see mamash a discussion in halacha, right? So Tashima, he asks them a question to see if they know what they're talking about, see if they know the halachas. So he says, let's say the case is like this: Hey Nisa ish b'sar kodesh. If a person holds b'sar kodesh b'knaf bigdoi in the corner of his garment, now Rashi understands, and as the Gemara here understands, B'sar Kodesh means Basar Tamei. Rashi says Kodesh could also mean Tamei, just like we find a pasuk that says Kodesh Haya Ba'aretz, Kedesh Haya Ba'aretz, right? So there are times where the word Kodesh is even used. Well, Kadesha, we know the famous word Kadesha is a reference to a prostitute, right? But either way, Kodesh could also mean Tamei. So let's say you have Basar Tamei, i.e. a sheretz, in his garment, and then the sheretz touches V'naga b'knafai el lechem, he touches b'knafai el halechem. For now, we'll understand that the Basar itself touches the lechem, so the lechem becomes a Rishon L'Tumah, right? If you have Basar Kodesh, which really here means, let's say, Basar Sheretz, Basar Tamei of a Sheretz, touches V'naga el halechem, touches lechem. And then the lechem touches nizid. Nizid is like a type of dish, lentils. V'layayin, and then the lentils touch yayin. Then the yayin touches shemen, or kol machal, vel kol machal, hayikdash. Will it become tamei? Right. So this is the way this Gemara understands it. Just to point out that Ibn Ezra understands it in his parish on Chagai over there. Kodesh means the halacha that a chatas is kodesh, and anything that the Torah says, anything called yiga yikdash, and anything that touches the chatas will become kodesh, will have a din hektish. So he understands it in a totally different way, but that's the way this Gemara understands it. The kodesh means tamei here. So, essentially, the case is you have basar, which is an avatuma, touches lechem, rishon l'tuma, nazir is sheni l'tuma, yain is shlishi l'tuma, and the yain touches the revi, which is shemen, or another michael, right? So he wants to know if that shemen, that last thing, which is revi l'tuma, is that tamei or not. Okay, so vayanu akohanim, the kohanim answer vayamru loy, it's not tamei. Now, Rav says, Ishtabish Kahani. Rav says that the Kohanim in their answer made a mistake. It's not clear from the Psukim as to whether they got the answer right or not. And Rav says, they made a mistake. Right? So, because it's called the Revi B'Kodesh. Right? really, even though this is Revi Batoma, it's supposed to be Tameh. Right? So according to Rav, who says the Kohanim made a mistake, because they said it's not Tameh. Right? Rav says it's a mistake. No, it is Tameh. Rav, what do you mean? It's Tameh. You hold, right? You hold that there is no Tumas Mashkin Midoraisa. Right? There is no Tumas Mashkin. Again, on Tazayin Amar Aleph, right? We had a Machlokes Rav and Shmuel. Right, and Rav said that it's Dechan Mamish, that it's Mamish Tameh. That again, Yaisi ben Yezer each trader says, right? Al Mashkin Beis Mitbachai that it's Tahor, right? And must be. We said, why is that true? Because Ein Tuma LeMashkin Kol Ikar. Because there is no such thing as Tuma for Mashkin. Rabbi Eliyahu holds, right, that there is no Tumas Mashkin at all Midoraisa. And therefore in the Beis HaMikdash they said, because we don't want Katan to be lost, we say we do not institute the Rabbanon of Tuma by Mashkin. And Rav said that what did Yosef ben Yezer mean? That Mashkin Beis Mitbachaya is fine. He says that it's Dechan Mamish, it's Mamish Tahor, not only that it's not Mitama Cherem, it's even tar, it's on its own, and even it itself doesn't become Tameh, right? So now, when Rav is saying that Ishtabish Kahani, the Kahanim were wrong, because really it is Tameh, that's a contradiction, right? It's a contradiction because Rav now is saying that it is Tameh. In the Beis HaMikdash, the Kahanim were wrong, and really it is Tameh because it's Revi B'Kodesh, and it's Shemen, which is a Mashke. Answers the Gemara, Nidu Taima Ela Rav, is it only a reason, right? Is it only a kasha on Rav, right? Ishtabish Kahani is according to Rav. And Rav, Mashki Beis Mitzbachaya Tani. When he learns the statement of Rabbi Yosef ben Yezer that says Mashke Beis Mitzbachaya is tar, it's with a test, Mitzbachaya. Well, Mashke Beis Midbachaya with a dalid, that's Mitame. What's the difference? Mashke Beis Mitzbachaya is what's used, Mamish B'shas the carbon, the dam and the mayim. Mashke Beis Midbachaya is Miloshin Mizbeach, and that is any type of nisachim that go on the Mizbeach, any liquid that's needed as part of the carbon, like yayin or shemen, not the dam and the mayim that's used to wash the animal, right? So, according to Rav, this that Yosef ben Yezer said that mashke bis mitbachaya is tahar and it's not tamei. That's only dam and mayim that's used b'shas shchita mitbachaya. Well, mashke bis mitbachaya, that is a reference to the regular yayin and shemen that's used as you donate to the carbon. And if so, right, that Rav holds it is tamei. Right? That it'll be the Rabbanon, right? But and Rav would hold that the Rabbanon goes all the way back to Chagai, right? But the point is that according to Rav, he has a way out of it because these kohanim that used these kohanim that were asked about the shemen, right? That's shemen of kodesh, which goes on the mizbeach as nesachim or for the mincha, right? And that taka wasn't mashke beis mitzbachaya, and even therefore Rav even agrees that becomes tamei. Okay, Gufa Rav Omar Ishtabish Kahani Shmuel Omar Lo Ishtabish Kahani. Let's discuss this machlokes itself regarding the case of Chagai. Rav says the Kahanim were wrong. Shmuel Omar Lo Ishtabish Kahani. Rav Omar Ishtabish Kahani Revi B'Kodesh. They were wrong because it's Revi B'Kodesh, and Revi B'Kodesh is tamei. But Revi B'Kodesh Ba'aminayu, he asked them about a Revi B'Kodesh, V'amli Tar, and then they told him it's Tar. Revi, we know there's such a thing as Revi B'Kodesh. It's Tamei. Shmuel Amar Lo Yishtabish Kahani Chamishi B'Kodesh Ba'aminei. He asked them Chamishi B'Kodesh. He asked them it was a fifth. Now how does Shmuel have a fifth? The Gemara says Bishlam L'Rav Hainu Diksiv Arba. According to Rav, that's why it says 4. It says lechem, nizid, yain, v'shemen, right? So the sheretz such the lechem rishon, nizid second, yain third, shemen fourth. Revi b'kodesh, they said tahar, they're wrong. El Shmuel chamisha, where does he get 5 things? Aminale. The Gemara says miksi v'noga knafai. Does it say noga knafai that the actual knafa beged which had the sherets on it touched? No, v'noga big knafai. It says big knafai. B'mashinaga b'knafai. So it must be there was something in between. There was something in between the sherets and the actual lechem. Right, so the sherets is avatoma. There was something in between. Big knafai. There was something in between, and that was the rishon, and the lechem is sheni, nizid shlishi, yain revi. Shemen is chamishi. Shemen chamishi betuma. No, there's no such thing as chamishi by touching. Right, only revi. Tashima vayom chagai im yigat tmei nefesh b'chol eile hayitma. So the next kasha Chagai asks them is if a tmei nefesh, someone who touched the dead body, right? If he touches in all these things hayitma, vayanu hakohanim vayomru yitma, right? And the kohanim said yes. If a tmei meis touches any of these things, it's tamei. Well, we're talking about again the tmei meis. Rashi explains touches the lechem. The lechem touches the nizid. The nizid touches the yain, and the yain touches the shemen. Right. So in that situation, the lechem is an avatoma, because if a sheretz didn't touch the lechem, the meis touched the lechem. Right. So according to Shmuel, it's bumped up a level because until now it was the sheretz to touch something that touched the lechem. Right now, a tmei meis, according to the way Rashi explains, the kasha, the question of Chagai is if a tmei meis touches the actual lechem. So now the lechem becomes a rishon, right? Then everything makes sense. Lechem becomes rishon, nizid becomes sheni, yain, shlishi, shemen is revi, right? So according to Shmuel, now that's a case of revi, and it makes sense because an avatuma touched the lechem directly. So Bishlam of the Shmuel, according to Shmuel, from the fact that they didn't make a mistake over here, it's the same Shaila, right? They didn't make a mistake. Meaning, according to Shmuel, the second question of Chagai that he asked them was essentially a an avatoma, which is a tmei, someone who touches that by an avatoma, right? And then they knew the right answer, right? They knew that the revi, the tuma, is a problem, right? So then why in the first class did they mess up when he asked them about chamishi the tuma, right? They knew revi is a problem, so why did they say it's not tami over there? Because it was chamishi. So everything worked out according to Shmuel. It makes sense. They knew the halacha of revi the tuma. Rav, according to Rav, why by the case of sheretz did they say that it's not tamei, even though it's revi the tuma? And the case of tmei meis, they said it is tamei. What's the difference? It's both revi the tumas. They knew tumas meis. When he asked them about tumas meis, that they remembered. Oh, that's tamei. Tumas sheretz, they forgot that it's metame or that it's metame in such a way, right? So therefore, that's why they made the mistake. Okay. Ravina Amar. Hasam Revi Hachash Shlishi. Ravina explains that the second shaila, when it says tmei nefesh, you got tmei nefesh, it means an actual dead body. So, according to Ravina, the situation of the second question of Chagai was a dead body touches the lechem. So now the lechem is an avatuma, and everything's bumped up a level. The nizid is a rishon, the yayin is a sheni, and the shemen is a shlishi, right? So shlishi the tuma they knew, revi the tuma they didn't know. So when he talked about the sheretz, and the sheretz touched the lechem, right? So the sheretz is only an avatuma, right? So then it ends up being a revi. They didn't know the concept of revi the tuma. They said revi the tuma, that's too far away. But the second kasha the Chagai asked, the second shaila he asked them was if an actual dead body touches the lechem, then it's bumped up a level because the dead body is avi avoisa tuma, right? And then the lechem becomes an avatoma, and then the shemen, which is the shaila, becomes the shlishi, and shlishi they knew. Okay, Tashima. the pasuk that Chagai, after he hears their answer, he says, which sounds like he's saying, right, that this nation in front of Hashem, everything they do with their hands and everything they bring in front is tameh. That's what it sounds like he's saying. I don't know if you have the end of the pasuk. I have the end of the pasuk on the side. The pasuk ends off tamehu. Sounds like Chagai now is deciding that it's tameh because they don't know what it's talking about. Shlomo l'Rav tameh. We see from the context over there that Chagai did not approve of these kaihanim. Therefore, he says tameh, right? Elo l'Shmuel, amai tameh. According to Shmuel, they got the answer right. So why is he saying it's tameh? So the Gemara says, "Itmuhi kamitame." You have to read it in a wondrous tone. Tamehu, is it tameh? Says the Gemara, "V'chein kol ma'aseh yedayim ksiv." It says, and all the ma'aseh yedayim are tameh. Rashi explains the word v'chein is not a question. Right? When you say something in a sarcastic or wondrous tone, you don't say v'chein kol ma'aseh yedayim tameh. V'chein sounds like a serious tone, not that you're asking a question. So Omar Mar. So Omar Zuchav Yitem Ravashi, what does it mean? We talk shakilkul as maasem mal alena kaser kilu hikruvam betuma. So morning. According to Shmuel, the way he interprets this pasuk by Chagai is not that Chagai means that really it's that they don't know what they're talking about. They're talking about because according to Shmuel they got the answer right. What it means is because in the future. Chagai was talking about Nevuah that he knew that in the future the Kaihanim are going to mess up and they're going to do Averis, right? So it's Ki'ilu, they're Makriv Lemetuma. So really, this is just a Nevuah of Chagai about the future that things are going to go bad. But it's not a reference to here and now whether the Kaihanim knew the halacha or not. Okay, Gufa. Rav Tani Mashke Beis Mitbachaya, Valevi Tana Mashke Beis Mitbachaya. Right, so we mentioned already that J.C. ben Yezer said Mashke Beis Mitbachaya, right? Mashke Beis Mitbachaya are tahar, and then we said that it's right, but we said that the reason why J.C. ben Yezer says Mashke Beis Mitbachaya are tahar is because he holds really midarais and mashkin are mitamin, right? Now we had a machlokes Rabbi Shmuel that when J.C. ben Yezer says that's true, doesn't mean that it itself is tahar. Or only it's tahar in the sense that it's not a tamachem. That was machlekes Rav and Shmuel, right? Now the Gemara is going to bring the discussion of what exactly did J.C. ben Yezer say. So Rav taught mashki beis midbechaya, which means dafka the dam and the mayim that's being used during the shechita, in the shechita process. V'levi tana mashki beis midbechaya, anything that goes on the mizbeach, which means even the yain and shemen, which is brought as an nesachim or for the menachos on the mizbeach. Right, so according to Levi, it's a much broader heter, not just the dam and the mayim that's brought in the mizbeach. No, it's even the yain and the shemen. Right, so according to him, even that has that heter. Says the Gemara. The Levi hanicha Yisrael. You're on Amud Aleph in the middle, smack in the middle page. The Levi hanicha Yisrael like Shmuel. Levi would make sense if he holds like Shmuel. The Amar the Chan Miltami Tumas Acher. Shmuel held, right? Shmuel held that it's the Chan Miltami Tumas Acher. It's tahar from being mitam anything else of altumas asmanation, but they are tamei on their own, right? So mishkachas the nagi kulu barisha. So now, basically the question is like this: if Levi holds mashke beis midbachaya is tahar, and it's not mitam acherim, so we really have a big kasha because according to you, Levi, how do you interpret the nevuah of Chagai? Chagai was talking about a case where the yayin is mitama the shemen, right? You have the lechem touching the nizid touching the yayin touching the shemen. So it's muchach from the psukim, right? And that's talking about the yayin and the shemen, which is this midbechaya, right? Which is it's not the damen, right? It's talking about the midbechaya, right? So if you hold even mashke meis midbechaya, even the yayin and the shemen is tahar. So if even the yayin and the shemen is tahar, right, and it's not mitama, and it's not mitame itself, right? If it itself is not mitame, then it's a big problem. You can't hold that because obviously Chagai is saying that it's tame, right? So if you understand the statement of Yosef ben Eliezer to mean even Yain and Shem in the Beis Hamikdash, even Beis B'chaya, you read the parsha of Chagai that talks about Yain and Shem becoming Tameh, right? You can't reconcile the two things unless you say that really you're Maida that it's Tameh Tumas Atzmai. It does become Tameh. And what does Yosef ben Eliezer mean? Like Shmuel explains that it's just not Matama Acher, right? You're left with the kasha, Yain is Matama the Shemen. You see, it's even Matama Acher, not just Tameh on its own. Zakter, no. Meshkachas Adenagi Kulu Berishain. The pshat is that we understand that they all touched in the first object, meaning the Yain is not making the Shemen Tameh. It's the Nizid, I guess if the Nizid is also liquid, they all touch the Lechem, right? Oichel could make something else Tameh, but Rabbi Yosef ben Eliezer said the Mashkim can't make it Tameh, right? So he has to interpret the pasuk. It's not that the sherets touch the Lechem, the Lechem touch the Nizid touch the Yain touch the Shemen. No, it's the Shemen touch the Lechem, and the Shemen and the Yain touch the Lechem. Everything touched the Lechem. Until now, we've been learning the pasuk in Chagai to mean that it's a progression. A touched B, B touched C, C touched D, right? Now, so according to Levi, you would just have to explain it that it means that they all touch the Rishon.
What's the chiddush if they all touch the Rishon? And of course they're all going to become Tameh.
I hear. I'm not sure what the chiddush is. Yeah, maybe he was just testing them to see if they know the basics of Ilchas Tumah. I'm not sure, but I hear it's a good kasha. It's definitely much more basic if they all touch the Rishon.
Right.
Okay. Ella isvarle Kerem, right? But if Levi holds like Rav, Damar Dechan Mamish, the Rav says it's Mamish Tahar, then Heichi Mishkachas Lo. How do you find, right? How do you find the case of Chagai being Tameh, right? Hare, according to him, it shouldn't be Tahar, it shouldn't be Tameh at all because it's Mashke Beis B'chaya. It must be all like Shmuel, right? And it's just not Tameh L'Tameh Acher, but it's Tameh Tumas Atzmai and must be touched the Rishon. Well, the Shmuel says Gemara, Hani Chesel like Rav. It makes sense. It feels like Rav the Tani Beis Mitb'chaya. Well, Mashke Beis Mitb'chaya Achrini Nami Mitamu, right? Then and Mashke Beis Mitb'chaya, they're also Mitamu other things. Therefore, Revi Hudale of, and that's the way he explains the case of Chagai, that they Revi Loy Avid Chamishi, right? That's the way Shmuel explained the case, the Shaila the Chagai asked them. The Revi doesn't make a Chamishi, Hashlishi Avid Revi. But according to Shmuel, the story is implying that Shlishi makes Revi, right? Now, if Shlishi makes a Revi, right? I thought, didn't you Shmuel say that it's only Mitama Tumas Atman, it's not Mitama Tumas Acherim, right? So how could you say that Shlishi makes the Revi? Chagai's issue is that Revi doesn't make Chamishi, but Shlishi makes Revi. What do you mean? You're saying it's not Mitama Acherim. Oh, it's because you Shmuel hold Mashke Beis Mitbechaya. Dafka the dam and the water, that's where the halach of Yosef ben Eliezer applied. But the yain and the shemen Mitbechaya, that doesn't apply. And even that, even Shmuel would agree with, it's even Matama Acherim. So according to Shmuel, he holds Mashke Beis Mitbechaya is Tameh. No problem. Right? Therefore, he interprets the pasuk of Chagai, even that the Shlishi is Matama the Revi, because over there it's not the dam and mime of Beis Mitbechaya, it's Beis Mitbechaya. Okay. Ella Isav like a Levi, right? But if he holds like Levi, the Tani Mashke Beis Mitbechaya, right? Might you Revi delay of Chamishi? Why is the Shaila of Chagai that Revi doesn't make Chamishi? Afilu Sheinu Shlishi Namilai Avdi, right? Because if Yosef ben Eliezer was talking about Beis Mitbechaya, which again we explained anything that goes on this Ve'ach, Yain and Shemen, right? And that, according to Shmuel, would mean that it's not Matama anything else. So Afilu Sheinu Shlishi Namilai Avdi, not only Chamishi. Okay. Now the Gemara says Tanya Kavasi de Rav and Tanya Kavasi de Levi, right? Regarding the Mashke Beis Mitbechaya. Tanya Kavasi de Levi, Hadam v'yayin v'Hashem v'mayim mashke beis mitbachaya, right? Both dam, yayin, shemen, and mayim are all mashke, what we're calling mashke beis mitbachaya, and that's what Levi held. Shenitmu b'fnim, if they got tamei b'fnim, v'yitzin l'chutz, they're tahor, because again, they're tamei b'fnim, right? Became tamei b'fnim, but tamei b'fnim, according to Levi, doesn't apply, right? Doesn't apply to be mitar or anything else. Avada, we said that Levi has to agree that if you hold mashke beis mitbachaya, you have to hold that it's tamei itself. It just means shenitmu b'fnim, right? It's tahor, that it's not mitam anything else. But it's tahirin, and even if you brought it outside the Beis Hamikdash, it's tahor. That's the chiddush over here. That because we say there's no tumah inside, outside also there's no tumah. Now nitmu b'chutz v'chnisim b'fnim. If they were tama outside v'chnisim b'fnim, then they are tama, right? So what do you see, right? So either way, you see here that the tahira, right, the exception of Yesi ben Yezer applies to all yain, shemen, maimin, and dam, right? So it's a proof to Levi that it says mashke beis mitbachaya. In fact, the Gemara, ini v'amar Rabbi Shimon Levi mashke beis mitbachaya lo amru dechan ela b'mkayman. How could you tell me that if you take the tumah out, it's still tahar? Didn't Rabbi Shimon Levi say the mashke beis mitbachaya didn't say tahar ela b'mkayman? Not if you took it out. My law of muta nitmu b'fnim is not to exclude the case of nitmu b'fnim, and you brought it outside of its makam etzin l'chutz. The Gemara says lo ute nitmu b'chutz v'chnisim b'fnim. No, it's mimat the other case that if it's tamei outside and you're chnisim b'fnim, don't think it's tahar then, because it became tamei outside, so it's just a regular tamei. It's even mitam other things. Says the Gemara v'ha b'mkayman kamar. He says b'mkayman, right? It's tahar only b'mkayman. Right, and you're telling me that now even shalai bim kaiman it's mutter. The Gemara says hachikamar le'amru dechan ela shenitmu bim kaiman. Right, only if it was nitba bim kaiman, then we say that it's even if it leaves. But if it's not nitba bim kaiman, so Rabbi Shimon Levi agrees, right, that it's going to be tamei because it got tamei outside of its makom. Okay, next is Tanya Kavod Sidirav. We'll be mamshach after Shachris. Okay. Okay. Tanya Kavod Sidirav. Adam ve'amayim mashke beis mitbachaya shenitmeu. If you have dam and mayim, which are the mashke beis mitbachaya, it seems that the ma'aseh beis mitbachaya really means the shas hashchita when you need dam and mayim, and it's only that which is tahar. Masha enkein mitbachaya means anything that goes on the mizbeach, so that would include yain and shemen. But either way, Rav said dafka beis mitbachaya is tahar. So you see that from the price of it says dam and mayim mashke beis mitbachaya shnitmu bein mikelim bein makarka. Whether the dam and the mayim is already in the kli or whether it's in the karka, it's tahar. Now Rabbi Shimon Omer the kelim tmein. If it's in kelim, it's tamei, because again he holds it's tamei. He doesn't hold it as heter. He holds mashkin or tamei midarais. But bikarkar tahar. And why bikarkar tahar? We're going to see in a second, because if it's in the karka, and it's a revis and it's mayim, we're not talking about dam dafka. If it's mayim and it's a revis of mayim and it's in the karka, so then it's like a mikvah. Just like a mikvah doesn't become tamei, so too this won't become tamei, because a revis works for tumah and taira. If you take a revis, if you take a needle that's tamei and you dip it into a revis of mashka, revis of mayim, so then it's a mikvah for it. So revis is the lowest level of mikvah for machtin v'tzinarius, for little things, right? In terms of a tumah and taira, not for tfilas kelim, right? But for tumah and taira, in certain situations, the chacham I think we're machmir in arboim saw anyway. We hold in arboim saw anyway, even for tumah and taira. But midoraisa, if you have a revis of mayim, you're allowed to dip it in. You're allowed to dip small things in that. Now, because that's the lowest level of kosher mikvah, so therefore, if you have a revis of mayim in the karka, so says Reb Shimon, then it's not going to be tamei. Just like something that's mechuber karka is not tamei, mikvah is not tamei, bar is not tamei, a mayon doesn't become tamei from shared. So too this mayim, if it's in the karka and it's a sheer mikvah, it's revius, right? So therefore, it's not going to become tamei. But kelim, he argues on the whole thing. He says they're talking about mashkin become tamei, and therefore, if they're not in the karka, if they're in a kli, then makabel tumah. Amar Rav Papa, it says Rav Papa, he has a whole different approach here. Even according to Manda Amar that holds that regularly tumas mashkin are daraisa, mashki beis mitbachaya or hilchos akmirila. Concept of beis mitbachaya is halacha l'maish misinai. Hilchos akmirila means we have a misinai. Rashi says, right, we have a halacha l'maish misinai, we have a messiah that's not tummy. So according to, until now we've been assuming, right, that mashke beis, if Rabbi Eliyahu was made, the mashke beis mitbachaya is mutter, that's a raya to Rabbi Eliyahu's shita who holds that the mashkin can't be tamei midaraisa at all, right? But Papa has a little different approach. He says no, even if you hold the mashkin not tamei, you can still hold it as beis mitbachaya because that's just halachah mishmisinai. What Yosef ben Eliezer was being made is an exception. That's halachah mishmisinai. That in the beis hamikdash beis mitbachaya, that's not a problem. But that doesn't shed light onto the regular rules. This Rabbi Elazar says, there is no tumah for mashkin midaraisa. Daddy brings a proof. So you see, obviously, Rabbi Elazar argues in Rav Papa because he's proving that there's ein tumah mashkin kolikar from Yosef ben Eliezer. Right? So obviously, he holds Yosef ben Eliezer wasn't just an exception. It's halacha. Do you learn from it? No. If it's halacha, you don't learn it from. You can't learn anything from there to everywhere else. It's just an exception, right? So the fact that Rabbi Elazar learns from Yosef ben Eliezer must be Rabbi Elazar the Tana held that Yosef ben Eliezer was not coming from halacha l'mishmisina. He was from general rule that mashkin don't become tamei. Oy bazoi, right? How could you, Rav Papa, say that it's halacha l'mishmisina? Right? So, the kasha, that's a kasha on Rav Papa. All right, and we don't have an answer to that. Amar Ravina Ravashi. The Horab Shimon the Omar Tumas Mashkin Doraisa. Shimon that holds Tumas Mashkin Doraisa. The Tanya, Rab Shimon, Rab Yosef, Rab Shimon. Aimrim Lekelim Taharim Leichlin Tamei. Right? He does hold that both Rab Yosef and Rab Shimon hold that Mashkin Tameim cannot be Mitamet Kalim. Midoraisa, right? Therefore, if it's a suffix, if it touches back to the price about suffix, right? If it's a suffix, whether mashkin temaim touch kalim it's tahar, because whether mashkin could be mitame kalim, that's only in the derabanan, atoma derabanan. Therefore, misafik it's tahar. But leoichlin temaim. So again, reason of shimon or machalik midoraisa, mashkin cannot be mitame kalim. It could be mitame oichlin, right? The hachak amar b'shimon. Bekalim Tmein Bekarka Tahirin, and over here by Mashkin Beis Mitbachayir, Shimon held that Bekalim it's Tamei, right? The E Hilchasahi, and if it's halacha l'mashim Sinai, that there's halacha l'mashim Sinai, that by Beis Mitbachayir it's not a problem. Mali Bekalim, Mali Bekarka, right? So obviously Reb Shimon didn't have this halacha l'mashim Sinai, right? If it goes back to the original discussion of whether Mashkin Marmatame Oichlin, right? Mashkin Marmatame, fine. Right, so it makes sense. But if you tell me it's halacha l'mishmisinai, so why is Shimon being mechalek between kalim and karka? Right, so it must be again. It's nothing to do with halacha l'mishmisinai. Kasha. Amar of Papa. Amar of Papa. Hadamat bekarka taharim again loishanu. This that Shimon says that karka the tahar loishanu al mayim, only mayim. Only if it's mayim, not dam. Aval dam loy. Mayim nami loy amar now to have revis, because if there's a revis, like I explained, the chazi lahatlo and machnu mitanaris, because it's right to be toivel little kalim like little pipes and needles. Aval loy have a revis tmeim. But if there isn't a revis, then it's tummy. Because again, the svara of Reb Shimon is that because it's in the karka, it's like a mikvah and it's mechober l'karka. Okay. Amar b'Yehuda. Amar Mar, Rabbi Yehuda Aimer called Tamei. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda's shita in that brayso, the original brayso we brought into Tesvav and Aleph, is that maybe to Zayin and Aleph, right? That Yehuda holds that mashkin could be mitama everything. Mashkin could be mitama kalim, mashkin could be mitama oichlim, mida raisa. Therefore, even if it's a suffix whether it touched it, l'chumra, because it's daraisa that mashkin tmein could be mitama. Sheretz touches mashka, that mashkin can go ahead and be mitama kli, go ahead and be mitama. Right? He's mitama everything. The memory of the Gemara says the Savar Rabbi Yehuda Tumas Mashkin L'Tamei Tumas Kelim Daraisa. So you telling me that Rabbi Yehuda really taka holds that Tumas Mashkin can be mitama even Kelim Midaraisa Vatnan. What do you mean? Don't we have a Mishnah? Call HaKelim. Any kli that has a back, and an inside, outside and an inside. For example, Kerem and ksasais, blankets and pillows, right? Sakin and sacks, Martzufin, Rashi says it's made out of leather, and I guess the sack made out of leather. The point is you could use the top and you could use the inside. You could use the outside and you could use the inside. Right? I guess you could use the outside to lean on it, to lay on it, and the inside you put stuff in it. Right? So now what's the halacha? Nitma toichai. Nitma gabai. If the inside becomes tamei, then the outside also becomes tamei. Nitma gabai. If the outside becomes tamei, lo nitma toichai, then we don't say the inside becomes tamei. And I guess anything in the inside is not tamei. Right? Because there's two usages, we say that if it's nitma toichai, then that's more ikr. So if the inside gets tummy, the outside gets tummy. If the outside gets tummy, then the inside doesn't get tummy. Rabbi Yehuda, says Rabbi Yehuda. And we still have to make sense of this. Why do we talk? Why are we mechalak takas? Rabbi Yehuda, what is this? When we say this is true, when it's tummy because of mashkin, aval nitmu machmas sheretz. But if it's tummy because of sheretz, if it wasn't mashkin, they were matam the sack. It was actual sheretz. Then nitmagam. We don't care. It doesn't make a difference. If sheretz touches the kli, I don't care if it touches the inside, touches the outside. It doesn't make a difference. It's tummy. The only time we're machalik if it's nitma machmas mashkin. Right now, what's the difference if it's nitma machmas mashkin? If mashkin 100% regular tumah, so what's the difference between mashkin and sheretz? Must be what Rabbi Yehuda really means is sheretz is in nitma machmas mashkin is it's fake derabbanan tumah, right? It's not real tumah. It's the rabbanan tumah when mashka is matami something. We have to make a chiluk. We have to show that it's different. We have to let people know that it's only tamim midrabanan. So we make a chiluk and we say if it's tamim the outside, not. If it's only tamim the inside, then the whole thing becomes tamim, right? So this whole chiluk, which we understand is to make a hecker between the rabbanan and the daraisa, makes sense. If mashkin they're matami not midraisa, matami midrabanan. But if mashkas mitavisak, if those mashkan tamikim daraisa, mali nitmat machmas mashkan, mali nitmat machmas sheretz, it should be tummy no matter where it touches. Rabbi Yehuda, Mishmol Chazer, Rabbi Yehuda. Yes, you're right. Rabbi Yehuda was chayzer. From this brayso, we see with this chayzer that really even Rabbi Yehuda agrees that Thomas mashkan is matam midrabanan, only midrabanan, not midaraisa. So we're chayzer. Ravina Elam loy hadar. Even says no, he wasn't chayzer. How b'mashkan abayin machmas yadayim, b'mashkan abayin machmas sheretz. If you understand, Ravina says there's two types of mashkin. Mashkin that comes machmas sheretz and a chanam Rebbe holds us daraisa. Sheretz touches the mashka touches food, that's a problem. Or mashka touches a keli, that's a problem. That's midaraisa. But there are tumas mashkin which is only derabanan. For example, my yodayim, the chacham regards yodayim, stam yodayim or tameh, right? Even though I don't know if I touch tameh, I didn't necessarily touch tameh, right? But still, if I touch mashkin, they become rishon l'tumah. Unless they're doing tzilas yadayim, right? So my hands touch mashkin, they become tamei midrabanan, right? That for sure is midrabanan. Everyone's masking my hands aren't tamei. It's exera that hands always are considered tamei, and therefore if I touch mashkin, it becomes a rishon l'tumah, right? So that's the type of mashkin that Rabbi Yehuda is talking about over here, and therefore that type of mashkin even Rabbi Yehuda agrees is derabanan, and therefore he says we have to make a hecker and say that if it's nitma gabai, it's not nitma toichai, but if it's nitma toichai, it's nitma gabai. Right? So says Gemara, if that's true, okay, Adatani. So then how come in the Bamedvar Mamur, when Rabbi Yehuda explains and it says Bamedvar Mamur by mashkin, but not by sheretz, so right, when he says Bamedvar mashkin, let him say a clearer, more distinct chiluk. Instead of jumping to sheretz and saying that, but if sheretz touches it, then it's tamei, don't jump all the way to sheretz. Explain to us that even there's a type of mashka which is metame midaraisa, which is metame even if it touches the outside, touches the inside, it doesn't make a difference, right? It should say like this: Medram will be mashkin abayim machmas yadayim, abo mashkin abayim machmas sheretz nitma toicha nitma gabay, nitma toicha nitma gabay nitma toicha, right? Always when you're teaching me a chiddush, when you're teaching me a chiddush, medram amurim, right? If you want to, you should contrast to something, right? That's closer to the original discussion. So if you're telling me that mashkin are not mitame, right? Don't say mashkin are not tame, right? But sheretz is tame. Well, you don't have to jump to sheretz. Even within mashkin, you'll show me a way that is tamei regularly. In a case where it's the mashkin tamei machmas sheretz, and then it's tamei 100%. El Gemara Mechavar Tekeshin Meikara Chazer Rabbi Yehuda. Avada Rabbi Yehuda was Chazer, and he really holds us to Rabbanan. And then the Gemara is going to ask. We'll do this tomorrow, but Ibailum Kelim who the Hadarbe. When Rabbi Yehuda was Chazer, and we're saying that really it's not tamei, right? Really, mashkim are not mitame kelim midoraisa. Was the only chayzer from the fact that mashkim are not mitame kelim. Aval ba'oichlem k'Rabbi Yisrael b'Shem Tzveli, but regarding the fact that mashkim are mitame oichel midoraisa, right? Does he still hold Rabbi Yisrael and Rabbi Shimon that they're mitame oichel? Or maybe since he was chayzer from the fact that mashkim are mitame kelim midoraisa, maybe he also totally was chayzer from everything. And he holds that mashkim are not matama kelim even midaraisa, even eichel midaraisa. Should we see it a little, or you want to just mamshach tomorrow? Maybe quickly we'll see it. So Amar of Nachman bar Yitzchak says from Nachman Yitzchak Tashema Parash Shasas Mechatas. Let's say a cow drinks mechatas. Now mechatas has a din that if the Torah says that if a person who touches it on a geb man yitma, you become tamei. So that's an avatuma, right? If you become an adam, you're an avatuma. So mechatas have a din avatuma. That's for sure an exception. That mechatas, is mashkin that are tamei, right? But you have something called mechatas. Mechatas is the waters of the paraduma, right? Now that's metama adam metama kela, right? And that's an avatuma. Now let's say a para drinks that. It's not a cow for a carbon, whatever. You shechta, it doesn't make a difference. A cow drinks it, and now you shechta the cow. And the water is still in her stomach, right? So now parash is shasisa mechatas b'sara tamei, the basar is tamei because the basar is mechatas, right? And it's touching the basar, so it's tamei, right? No, that's Tanakama. Yehuda Imer, no. Yehuda says no. Batlu b'mei'eha. Now once it drinks it, it's batal. Meaning not that it's batal and it's dissolved, it's there, right? But the shem mechatas is batal from it. You can't call it mechatas after you already drink it. Once you drink it, you find it in the stomach. That's not called mechatas anymore, right? Now the Gemara says, if you think that Yehuda only was chayzer from the concept that mashkim are mitama kelim midaraisa, aval the hadar BeiRav but oichlin could be easier b'shem tzvili, but he does agree that by oichlin that mashkin tmein could be mitama oichlin midaraisa. So my batlu b'mei'eha. Why does he say it's batlu b'mei'eha legamrei? Nehided to machamur loy mitamu. Let it be. We understand that Rabbi Yehuda would say that it's not mitame mamish like mechatas because it's not mechatas anymore. So it's not going to be mitame adam. It's not going to be avatoma, right? But tumakala miya nitmu. Let it still be considered a tumakala. Why Rashi? Rashi explains that hagam that it's not mechatas anymore once the animal drinks it, right? But at the point when it's bottled from mechatas, it should become a rishon l'tuma. Right, the same way when object A touches object B, it goes from avatoma to rishon, right? So now the same object itself,
so the cow drinks it, should go down a step.
It should go down a step because it touched itself, right? A thing is for sure touching itself, right? So if the mechatas touches other mashkin, you'll say this is rishon l'tuma, right? For sure, you'll say this is rishon l'tuma. So this itself, if it for some reason it loses its shem avatuma, why? Because the cow drinks it, and so it loses its shem avatuma. But it's not going to become nothing. It's not going to become tahar. It's still mashkin, right? So the most, right, the least it'll become is a rishon l'tuma. It'll lose its shem mechatas, right? But you can't say, but it touched it. But now this water that we found in the para, it's water that touched mechatas. Did it touch mechatas? Yes, because it itself was mechatas. So of course we look at it as if it touched itself, right?
What if that mixed into that? The mechatas mixed in water that doesn't touch, where you dissolve and like become part of that.
Right. I guess you go with Saraiv, depending on what's the majority. So the majority is the mechatas, so it's tamei. But over here, we're not saying there's more water. I'm just saying as an example, the avatuma touches something else. It's metamed because it touches it, right? But let's say the avatuma itself loses the shem avatuma. It loses the reason why it's an avatuma. For example, right now, it's not mechatas anymore because the cow drank it. So you can't call it mechatas anymore, right? But it's still liquid, it's still mashkin, right? So it's still susceptible kabul tuma. It doesn't lose the whole ability to be tameh, just lost the ability to be an avatuma, right? But that doesn't mean that it loses the tuma fully. It just goes down to being a regular mashkin that it itself was an avatuma. That's not worse than if it touched an avatuma. So therefore, it's a rishon tuma, right? So it says the Gemara, if Rabbi Yehuda still holds the mashkin could be mitame basar, right? So then Rabbi Yehuda should hold that this has a status of rishon tuma and it's mitame the basar, right? Elamai, Rabbi Yehuda really doesn't hold that mashkin are mitame at all because he was totally chayzer that mashkin are mitame even eichlin. So therefore, over here also it's not a problem. Right? So if he holds like Reis and Rabbi Shimon, amai bat b'me'el legamri nihid tuma chamur l'mitame. Understand it's not an avatuma, but tuma kalami and it nitmu. It should be considered a rishon tuma and should be mitame the basar either way. Where it says my batal b'me'el nami batal mituma chamur. You're right. It means it's batal from tuma chamura, meaning it's not a tuma chamura. It's not avatuma. But tuma kala mitama. He does agree that it is a tuma kala. He doesn't really hold that it's not tamei at all. It says the Gemara Michlal. Does that mean that Tanakama suffer tuma chamura nami mitamu? That means that if he's saying that it's tuma kala, that means that Tanakama is more machmer. It says the Gemara habsara tamei katani. It says habsara tamei, which means it doesn't say that if a person touches it, it's tamei, right? So the fact that you tell me Yuda holds dafka tuma kala is tamei, not tuma chamura. That means Tanakama, who argues on him, holds it even it's tuma chamura. That means it still has a status of avatuma even though the cow drank it, right? That means you're telling me that it's an avatuma, and not only if basar touches it, the basar is not only the basar tamei, even Adam touches it as tamei, right? So why is Tanakama saying dafka basar? So the Gemara says, "Cooler Rabbi Yehuda." The whole thing's Rabbi Yehuda. This is what it means. There's really no Tanakam. It's all Rabbi Yehuda. Parash shasam echatas besara tamei. Only the basar is tamei. Right? Only tumakala, not tumakhamur. It's not going to be metame adam. Rabbi Yehuda Eimer batul b'me'el. Okay, so it's really one sheet. There's no Tanakam. Okay. Rabashi Amar Lo'ilam batul b'me'el legamrei. Really, it's batul fully, right? Rabashi says no. He has a different explanation. The reason why Rabbi Yehuda says it's batal and it's totally tahar, right? Didn't we say that if Rabbi Yehuda still holds that mashkin or mitame basar ever, right? So you should say it's a problem. At least it's a rishon tuma. It says over here is different. It's disgusting. It's not mashka. It's taka, not mashka. It's mashka that's not susceptible to kabul tuma at all. Why? Because it's disgusting. The animal drank it already. Went through the bad animal system. So therefore, it's not mashka, not kabul tuma at all. Of course, Rabbi Yehuda holds regularly that mashka and tmeim could be mitame oichel. Over here, it's not a rishon. It's not an avatuma. It's not a rishon tuma. It does not anything because the animal drank it. It's disgusting. It's not kabul tuma anymore. Okay.
We'll start tomorrow. You'll see one.